Interesting reading, kind of tough to wade through, but I've got the paper at home. Here it says sample number 454 is 17,000 years old. Sample 455 is 24,000 years old. But if you read, it says this is the same sample as 454. Interesting. Sample number 299 is less than 20,000 years old. Sample L137X is greater than 28,000, and yet it's the same sample as 299. You go through and you wade through this and you find out they simply do not know, okay? We could talk a long time about carbon dating. The other one commonly used is the idea that the universe is billions of years old because of the stars, you know, being so-called billions of light years away. The stars may indeed be billions of light years away. I would never argue that they're not, but I certainly would argue that we do not know that the speed of light has been a constant. I also would argue we cannot prove the distance to the stars. They probably are billions of light years away, but we can't measure beyond about 100 light years. And we don't know what light is, okay? At Harvard University in 1999, they slowed light down to 38 miles an hour. The next year, they slowed it down to 1 mile an hour. The next year, they brought it to a full stop. The speed of light was brought to 0, done at Harvard University and Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, and also done at Cambridge. At Princeton University, they speeded light up to 300 times the speed of light. Speed of light has decreased rapidly in the observable time span. Here's a chart showing the decline of the speed of light. We could talk a long time about that. Here's a couple of quick quotes here. The speed of light was apparently exceeded by a factor of as much as 100 in 2 published experiments. The speed of light was 10 billion times faster at time 0. Speed of light may have changed over history, the study says. This is August of 2001. We've got the entire article here if you'd like to read that. The shocking possibility is the speed of light might change in time during the life of the universe. So I think we do not know that the speed of light has always been consistent. So typically the most common arguments for a great age for the universe are the speed of light, you know, the distance to the stars, and the radiometric decay. Now, it doesn't matter which radiometric decay you use, be it potassium argon, rubidium strontium, lead-208, lead-2, you know, it doesn't matter. They're all based on obvious assumptions. 80% of potassium in a small sample can be removed by distilled water in 4.5 hours. You mentioned skull KNM ER1470. Richard Leakey found this skull in 1972. Before he found it, the KBS Tough had been dated by many methods at being 212 million years old. When Leakey's famous KNM ER1470 skull was found in 1972, under the KBS Tough, it really caused quite a ruckus in the paleontological community because you can't have a human skull that old. So they quickly decided, well, we must have misdated the KBS Tough. Even though it had been dated many times before, including Nature magazine, April 18, 1970, they said the KBS Tough is 212 to 230 million years old. Richard Leakey finds a relatively normal human skull, and obviously a skull, under the KBS Tough. Well, they said it can't be, something's wrong here. So they redated the KBS Tough. It took 10 samples, and now the numbers range from 0.5 to 2.6. That's a 500% error. Your Honor, I don't think they know. We mentioned how the age of the Earth has been inflated down through years, you know, going from 70,000 to now current 4.6 billion. The Earth is getting older, 21 million years per year. Basalt from Mount Etna in Sicily was potassium argon dated at 250,000 years old, yet they knew the lava flow was just shortly before the time of Christ. Hawaiian lava flow 1801 was potassium argon dated at 1.6 million years old. It's only 200. Mount, however you pronounce that, in Hawaii was 8.5 million years old from a 1959 lava flow. Mount Etna in Sicily, I climbed Mount Etna, dated 700,000 years old. Here's another one from 300,000. The new lava dome in Mount St. Helens, 1980 eruption. The new lava dome was built over the next few years. Lava samples were taken fresh, and they gave ages of anywhere from 0.35 million, that's 350,000, to 2.8 million for lava that is brand new. So when you date a sample of known age, it doesn't work. When you date a sample of unknown age, it is assumed to work. So we have God's word that the world was made in 6 days, about 6,000 years ago. We have God's word that tells us there was no death until Adam sinned. We have human records going back about 5,000 or 6,000 years maximum. We have many examples of geologic features that are simply indicating the universe cannot be billions of years old. Erosion rates of mountains, for instance, indicate that at the current erosion rate, the mountains will erode flat in 14 million years. And yet they tell us we have fossils that are 300 times older than that, still above sea level. They should have been recycled, washed out to sea 300 times at the current rate of erosion that we observe. We observe all sorts of physical factors that tell us, that put limits on the age of the universe, and I think I would just as soon trust God's word until it's proven wrong, as opposed to doubt God's word until it's proven right. So that's my position.
Coexisted, which is accurate? Dr. White, we'll start with you.
All right. A couple of years ago, I visited the Creation Evidences Museum in Glen Rose, Texas, just outside the boundaries of Dinosaur Valley State Park, which includes the bed of the Paluxy River, which is a famous place where dinosaur tracks, including entire trackways, have been found. This is a very famous location in the creationist literature. This museum was set up to demonstrate human footprints and even human trackways that had been found there. And for a while, it was featured in documentaries like The Mysterious Origins of Man and things of that nature. The problem is, I'm confused here again. Recently, the Institute for Creation Research, based out in Southern California in the San Diego area, issued a report on the human tracks from the Paluxy River, in which they argued that they were not actually human tracks. They were either more or less chance depressions in the rock that happened to look like a track, or in some cases, they were produced by humans, but not with feet, with chisels. There's a couple of those that appear to be suspicious in that regard. And there's others that appear to be dinosaur tracks that have weathered in an odd way. And this was not the conclusion of the evolutionary establishment. This was John Morris, son of the well-known creationist Henry Morris, who wrote several of the books on that table. So recently they've had to withdraw some of the evidence for dinosaurs and humans walking together. On the other hand, Dr. Carl Baugh, who operates the museum right there, is certainly convinced of their reality. He has well, it looked to me like a rock, but he told me it was a fossil human finger, and he's got a PhD. Who am I to doubt him? So clearly there is argument on both sides within the creationist camp, and I'm not quite sure what I should teach, other than that I should probably present, the idea that humans and dinosaurs coexisted and that they didn't, and leave the students free to make up their own minds. But that's really all I know on the topic, and I'm sure Dr. Hovind will enlighten you further.
I would be honored to do such a thing.
Wonderful.
It's pretty clear known biological fact that reptiles grow all their life. They simply never stop growing. And there's a long technical reason for why, with the growth plates at the end of the bones, etc. Reptiles grow all their life. So if a reptile were allowed to live to be 800 or 900 years old, it would be gigantic.